Today, we're diving into one of the most critical stories of our time, and that's India's journey at the crossroads of climate change. It's a path that is, absolutely filled with both immense peril and, at the same time, incredible promise.
And let's be clear, this isn't some far-off problem for the future. It is happening right now. 2024 is already shaping up to be one of the hottest years ever recorded in India. That's a pretty stark reminder of just how urgent this challenge really is.
So let's start with the reality on the ground. India is, without a doubt, a nation on the absolute front line of climate change, feeling the direct impacts of a warming planet in some really profound ways.
What used to be, these rare, once-in-a-generation weather events, they're now becoming the new normal. We're talking about more frequent, way more intense heat waves, monsoons that are just dangerously unpredictable, which leads to these devastating floods in some parts of the country and severe droughts in others. And the result of all this is a tragic, escalating loss of both life and property.
And if you want to quantify this threat in really stark terms, look at this number. This isn't just about feeling uncomfortable in the heat. This is about food security. The rising temperatures and chaotic rainfall could lead to a potential 15% drop in staple crop yields. That is a direct threat to the food supply and, of course, the livelihoods of millions and millions of farmers.
The scope of the problem is just immense. Partly because India's diverse geography means it's getting hit from all sides. It's got this long coastline that's so vulnerable to rising sea levels. Tropical cyclones in the Bay of Bengal are getting stronger. The Himalayan states are facing more landslides and flash floods, and on top of all that, crucial groundwater reserves are literally drying up.
And the cost? Oh, it is staggering. We are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in economic losses just over the past few decades. And beyond the financial toll, there's a really serious public health crisis brewing with a rise in climate-sensitive illnesses like dengue.
Okay, so that's the peril. It's a lot. But this story isn't just about doom and gloom. It's also about promise. India's responding with what you could call a new green revolution, an incredibly ambitious plan for a sustainable future.
So what does this plan actually look like? Well, under the Paris Agreement, India has laid out some very clear, very bold goals for 2030. It's aiming for a massive 500 gigawatts of energy capacity from non-fossil fuel sources. It also plans to reduce its emissions intensity. That's basically the amount of CO2 it emits per unit of GDP by 45%. And it's working to create a huge carbon sink by expanding its forests.
And this isn't some short-term fix. It's a multi-generational vision. It really kicked off back in 2008, has these major milestones set for 2030, and it's all building towards this huge long-term goal of achieving net zero emissions, balancing greenhouse gases put in with those taken out by the year 2070.
So how are they going to pull this off? Well, the strategy is a coordinated, multi-pronged attack. You've got the National Solar Mission, which is aggressively expanding solar power, the Green Hydrogen Mission, which aims to make India a world leader in this future fuel. The Green India Mission is all about afforestation, and this effort isn't just domestic. Through the International Solar Alliance, India is leading a global push for solar.
But, and this is a really big but, for all this ambition, India faces a monumental dilemma. How do you balance the urgent need for economic growth with the equally urgent need for a greener future?
And this chart right here, this really gets to the heart of the challenge. While that renewable slice is growing fast, coal remains the biggest piece of India's energy pie by far. With the rapidly growing population and economy, the demand for energy is just massive. And right now, coal is the main thing meeting that demand.
So this is it. This is the great balancing act. On one side, you have this relentless push for growth. Rising energy demand to power development and lift millions of people out of poverty. But on the other side, you have the pull of climate action, the need to meet those green targets and phase out the very fossil fuels that have powered growth for so long.
This whole dilemma underpins India's entire approach to this, which is rooted in a really crucial concept: climate justice. The core idea is that developed nations, the ones responsible for the vast majority of historical emissions that got us here, have a moral and practical obligation to help developing nations, with both money and technology, to make their own green transition.
In international negotiations, this principle has an official, kinda clunky name: common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. It's a key phrase, but what it's really arguing is that while every nation has a common responsibility to act, the burden shouldn't be equal. Wealthier nations, with greater historical responsibility and more resources, they have to lead the way.
And all of this leaves us with the ultimate question, not just for India, but really for the entire world. Can a nation meet the aspirations of its people, lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty, while at the same time undertaking one of the most ambitious green transitions in history? The answer to that question will, without a doubt, define our collective future.